What's going on YouTube people? In today's video I'm going to be reviving the fortunes of Leeds United. After a dreadful 22-23 campaign that saw Leeds get relegated, I'm going to be stepping into Elland Road and try to bounce back to the Premier League at the first time of asking. I'm going to start off by looking at the current suggested first 11. They play a 4-2-3-1 system which should already have the firepower to return straight to the Premier League. There are a few areas of interest for me though. I'm not 100% sure all of the players will want to stay. I think I might have to look at the midfield to improve. Maybe a centre back as they leak goals when they're in the Premier League. And I'm sorry, but Junior Firpo just isn't for me. Having a look at the finances though is pretty grim. There's only 3.4 million to spend and projected to fail their FFP. Not good. So it seems a sell to buy policy is going to have to be put in place. Let's get to work. The first player to receive some transfer interest was Patrick Bamford. I wasn't too sure selling him was the right thing to do, but he wanted to move on. Everton offered £16 million, so we snapped the money up, took the deal. Next up, I decided to cash in on Pascal Struijk. There wasn't a great deal of interest, but we did manage to raise £14.5 million for him. He went to Monaco, and this deal may trigger some people, but bear with me. The final departure of the summer of 23 was Junior Firpo. As I said already, he's not my type of player, and I'm sure he's a great guy. He might have played for Barcelona, but he earns loads of money, and he is a big hit on the wage bill. And for me, he isn't that great of a defender. Notts Forest came along and they took him off our hands for 3.5 million, which might not seem a lot, but he actually wasn't valued more than that by the game anyway, so it made sense to move him on. So that means that we have raised funds that we were required to improve the squad. Armed with £24,300,000 in wages, let's go splash some cash. The first of the summer signings was Greg Taylor. He's a reliable, homegrown replacement for Firpo, has all the attributes needed for the Championship, and he only cost £7 million from Celtic. Up next, I decided I wanted a bit of quality in the midfield, so we picked up Harry Winks. Yes, I know in real life he's threatening to become the new Jack Rodwell, with injuries, not fulfilling his potential, but for just £7 million, his experience and skill set will be really good for us in the Championship. And remember I said that the Struijk deal might trigger people? Well, fear not, because his replacement is here. Well, short term anyway. Levi Colwill will sign for Brighton in real life probably, but at the moment he's still a Chelsea player, and we swoop in and agree a loan fee for the English wonder kid. The next piece of the puzzle is Manuel Lanzini. In real life, West Ham have just won the Europa Conference League, and technically he's still contracted to them, but in this database it says that his contract's expired, so he was available for a free transfer. We pick him up and we add some creative flair to the squad, which is something that was probably missing in the Premier League campaign previously. And last but not least, we steal the Championship's hottest prospect from Bristol City. Paying just £8 million for Alex Scott is like a theft. Want to slot into the team now and in the future. So with the transfer business done, let's look at how the team is shaping up. I decided to use an aggressive attacking odd 4-3-3, utilising attacking wingbacks, a solid midfield 3, an inverted winger, deep lying forward, and an asymmetrical advanced forward. This allows me to fit all the new signings into the team, and also to introduce Lanzini to his new deep lying forward role. It may seem a bit mad, but I'm sure he has the skill set to play in that role. Right, the money is spent, the squad is complete for the summer window, and we are on to the start of the season. We kicked the season off against Plymouth, and it was a great chance to welcome all the new boys. Lanzini got us off to a great start with a penalty before Colwill was involved, setting up Sinistera after a mistake from the goalkeeper. Harry Winks converted a penalty to make it 3-0, before Dallas had a corner and Colwill got his goal. And then finally, Lanzini bursting into the box to smash the ball home past Cooper to give us a 5-0 victory. That meant that after a dream first game, we are sitting pretty at the top of the league. Our next big challenge came against fellow relegated team Southampton, and we brushed them aside at Elland Road and won by 3-1. It was all started off with a deflected goal by Cooper, with Dallas then setting up the next goal for Rocker to smash into the back of the net. We then made it 3-0 when a corner was swung in and Luke Ayling scored from that with a header, before Adams got a goal back for Southampton to make it 3-1. That means that on the 29th of October, we were sitting pretty at the top of the Championship, and we had an 8-point advantage over Leicester and Norwich. By the 1st of January, we are sitting top of the league, having played 25 games and totalling 70 points. Lanzini is playing brilliant football. From his 22 appearances, he has scored 8 and assisted 5 with a 7.16 average rating. Harry Winks has been instrumental as part of the promotion push. He's made 21 appearances, scored twice and assisted 8 times. Greg Taylor and Levi Colwill have both played to a high level, and they are helping us to shore up the defence. And finally, Alex Scott has played really well. He has played 21 times, he has scored twice. With all of the new boys playing well and elevating the squad, we move into January not needing to add any new faces. With no new faces arriving or leaving, we pushed into the second half of the season and played Leicester, and surprisingly we tasted defeat for only the second time this season. Iheanacho gave them the lead, Greenwood got a penalty back for us, before an absolute comical goal involving Meslier, where Harvey Barnes smashed the ball into an empty net. Despite the loss though, we are still top of the tree in the Championship. Having played 36 games now, we've got 96 points and have secured a playoff place at least, leaving us in a great position to push on to the end of the season. And we have done it. Promotion back to the Premier League at the first time of asking, and we have finished on an impressive 120 points. We finished 6 points clear of Leicester, who are getting promoted back to the Premier League with us, and we are miles clear of all the teams who finished in the playoffs. Going to the Championship just to have a little look in depth, we can see that we have played 46 games, winning 39 of them. We drew 3, we lost 4. We had a goal difference of 113 and finished on 120 points. Look at some of the stats of the players. Noto was our top goal scorer with 23. He also got a 7.48 average rating. Our best new boy was Levi Colwill with 7.47. Impressive season for the Wonder Kid. We had Lanzini and Dallas getting 16 assists each. Noto got 8 Player of the Match awards. Meslier keeping 28 clean sheets, which is a vast improvement on their Premier League campaign from the season before. If we look at the schedule and show you how we got on throughout the season, you can see it's an absolute sea of green. There are a few blips in there. We did lose to Brighton in the Carabao Cup second round on penalties. We also lost to Hull in the Skybet Championship, one of only a few games that we ended up losing. We beat teams along the way, including Leicester and Southampton, one of which of those games you saw the highlights of. West Brom 5-1. Did have a 0-0 draw against Bristol City, a 1-1 draw against Mansfield in the FA Cup third round with a changed team too. But we did beat teams like Coventry 5-0, Norwich 4-0. Then we had a little blip coming into the second half of the season. We lost Aston Villa in the FA Cup fifth round. We lost to Leicester in that game that we showed you just in the Championship, and we lost to Southampton, which actually stopped us winning the league by even more points. We then went on a mad run where we didn't concede a goal in 3 games, winning 6-0, 5-0, 3-0, beat Watford 4-1. The last couple of games of the season, beat Birmingham 6-0, West Brom 6-4, and then we lost to Stoke on the last day of the season. If we go into the squad and look at the new boys, let's start off with Levi Colwill. We can see that he has played 38 games. He had 17 goals, scoring most of them from corners, 3 assists. He had 5 Player of the Match awards in the Championship with an average rating of 7.47. An absolute steal if you can get him, certainly for the loan. If you're at a bigger club and you can afford to buy him, then obviously that is just a brilliant piece of business. And in real life, if Brighton do sign him, I think they will have an absolute baller on their hands. Looking for the next player, Greg Taylor. So he came in, is being quite reliable throughout the season. Played 33 games with 3 more as a substitute. Had 8 assists across the season. Finished with a 7.14 average rating. He is exactly what we wanted in terms of a consistent player who came in to replace Junior Firpo. And I think at the price that we bought him for, he's a bit of a steal. Whether he would stay with us for a Premier League campaign, I'm not too sure. But it's one of those where I think, certainly at this level, he's an absolute bargain. Then you've got Harry Winks, another one who came in with a bit of a reputation for being injury prone. You can see at the bottom of the screen it's one of the cons, but he managed to play 37 starts, had 5 more from the substitutes bench, scored 7 goals, had 10 assists, got a 7.06 average rating, and I think he has had probably the best season of his career down in the Championship. And now he's one of those where, for the price that he is, we could probably cash in on him if we get promoted and don't fancy him in the Premier League, or see what he's got about him playing in a team that's not Tottenham in the Premier League. Looking at Lanzini, he's down at the bottom here. So 30 years old, valued now at 26 to 29 million pounds, but in the Championship, that experience and that skill set that I said could be adapted certainly came to light. 29 starts, 11 more from the substitute bench, 20 goals, 16 assists. Did have 4 penalties, 5 player of the match awards, a 7.34 average rating across the season. I think he has been an absolute bargain. And another one who was injury prone at the start, but has managed to work his way through the season and not have too many injuries. And then finally, if we can find Mr. Scott, he's down here, and he's one who is definitely for the future, but also showing that you can play him in the here and now. 39 appearances, 5 goals, 5 assists, 2 player of the match awards. Did get a 6.99 average rating, just missing out on a 7 for the Championship, but he has been an absolute bargain for the money that we paid, and he's only going to get better as we move forwards. If we were to continue the save, I'm pretty sure that it would be an absolute steal. Right then, that is pretty much it. We have achieved what we set out to do. We've got Leeds United promoted as champions back to the Premier League, and that is a successful 1 season wonder. If you're still with me at this point of the video, firstly, a big thank you. I cannot thank you enough for sticking with the channel. I know the content is slightly different at the moment. There is every chance I'll get back to being on screen and producing even more content in the near future, but in the meantime, I cannot say thank you enough for sticking with it. If you haven't checked out the rest of the channel, please do so. There are other experiments. We have just broken in to this kind of content with the 23, 24 databases. There's a video on how you can get it and how you utilize it. There are tactics, wonder kids, there are all sorts of videos on the channel. Go check something out. I'm sure you will find something else that you will like. But for this one, I'm going to leave it there. Big thank you for watching. I'll see you on another video very soon.